All right, greetings. Welcome back to Blackbird News, where everything is connected. I am very, very sorry about the late start. I'm a little bit frustrated, but that's okay. Because when you're late for something, everything starts going wrong, right? Because you're like, it's just been one of those afternoons. That's why it's always good to be early for things, because if you're early, just nothing getting in the way. As soon as you're late for something, truck stalling in the middle of the freeway or whatever. So, anyways, we're here. Thanks for being here. Good to see you all. Man, I can't get this thing to cooperate either. I don't know. I don't know where to begin. I don't know where to begin. Things just seem to be devolving right in front of us. We're live on Substack, on Odyssey, and on YouTube. And you can watch on whatever channel you want. If you don't want to be censored, maybe not YouTube. By the way, just to say it out loud, I screenshot the fact that I should be getting paid by YouTube this month. I get paid so rarely by YouTube anymore. But last time they said, "Oh, hey, we're gonna pay you," and then they took money away from me and they stole money away from me so that they didn't have to pay me. Those fraudulent pieces of shit. So I took a screenshot this time, YouTube. So you can't really do that again. You jerks. Well, after they destroyed my channel, now they want to like just out in the open take money from me. Where to begin? Well, let's begin with Jerome Powell. Wait. Hold on. Yeah, I guess we got this one. Jerome Powell putting out a speech saying that the president is threatening him. Well, has threatened him with a lawsuit or a grand jury subpoena. Let's listen to this. Wild times. We have just entered into full-on corruption, full-on move towards Nazi Germany, with ICE saying that they're now going to start going door to door, basically checking your papers. Wild times. And everybody's looking around like, who's going to stand up? Who's going to stand up? I mean, people are out there protesting and stuff. But I feel like we need a little more than that in these days and times. Here we go. Video message from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. By the way, it was 80 degrees today in Los Angeles. It was really hot yesterday, probably 80. And it's January. And I know LA is prone to have, warm weather at any time of the year, but it just seems like, so far there really hasn't. I mean, there's been some rain bombs, but not really a winter. And we're now extremely warm, and I hear a lot of places around the US are reporting no snow. It starts snowing later in the year. If you've noticed that over the last few years, it starts snowing later and later and later in the year. We got fewer November, December snowstorms. Starts snowing in January. I know there's already been snow back east and Midwest and stuff, but a lot of people are talking about the lack of snow everywhere. Obsolete Optics talking about. Okay, let's listen to this.
Good evening. On Friday, the Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. That testimony concerned in part a multi-year project to renovate historic Federal Reserve office buildings. I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure. This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. It is not about Congress's oversight role. The Fed, through testimony and other public disclosures, made every effort to keep Congress informed about the renovation project. Those are pretexts. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation. I have served at the Federal Reserve under 4 administrations, Republicans and Democrats alike. In every case, I have carried out my duties without political fear or favor, focused solely on our mandate of price stability and maximum employment. Public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. I will continue to do the job the Senate confirmed me to do, with integrity and a commitment to serving the American people. Thank you.
Okay. There's a lot of talk about the actuality of us taking Greenland, of the imminent taking of Cuba. Huge, massive protests in Iran, although the story around Iran is that Mossad is behind these protests. If you can't get them, Jesus Christ, if you can't get them, with a frontal attack, you try to, subvert. Real quick, here's Alia. Millions of Iranians are pouring into the streets of their cities to oppose violent Mossad and CIA-backed rioters and to reject U.S.-Israeli aggression. But you won't see this headline in Western media. Do your own research.
هذه الصورة الآن من كرمان مشاهدينا، نسمع التكبيرات، نسمع الهتافات. مواطنون إيرانيون من مختلف الفئات.
They're trying to, do to Iran what they tried to do to Venezuela, which is make it seem, the brutal dictatorship. Of course, there are people that are going to be unhappy with their country or their government. That's, it should be the case, especially here, right? You should be unhappy with what your government's doing if you're holding them to account. But they're trying to make it seem like the people want the freedom and we're just the ones to give it to them. But it's bullshit is what it is. But somehow that propaganda is effective because you can get people to do the compassion thing where, oh, well, the people are, well, it's good they got Maduro because he was a dictator. No, that's stupid propaganda. Stop repeating that. Anybody who repeats that shit, you don't know what you're talking about. That is propaganda. Well, the people want the freedom, so we gave it to him, so that's good. Yeah, no. That is ridiculous. They're trying to do that about Iran. I see people out there going like, all right, power to the people, Iran, they're going to topple their government. No, that is complete propaganda from the U.S. The U.S. was bombing Iran and everybody was like, don't do that, don't bomb Iran. But, if they get you to think that the people are overthrowing the government, well, that's fine. It's us. It is us doing the thing, doing the dang thing. Stop repeating propaganda, please, people. I'm missing a bunch of chats on Substack. Sorry. Over the last 20 years, snow has come late in the Midwest, says Kate. A lot of people talking about lack. Greenland plus 8C so far, says going south. Yeah. It's fairly obvious that the weather, the climate, the earth is out of balance, out of whack. Which, to the discerning people of Black Bear News and elsewhere, a lot of people are attributing the ramp up of technocratic fascism that we see all over the planet, and but spearheaded by the U.S. for sure. Is the rise of this is due to the knowledge that the climate is going to spin out of control very quickly. Like we're on the cusp of having some calamitous climate events, and for things to get very, very weird. And the people in power want to stay in power, so they need to have all the resources and all the territory that they can get before things really spin out of control. She did not help Caramella Harris. Hold on one second. Here's Trump just recently.
If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will. And I'm not letting that happen. If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will take Greenland. And I am not going to let that happen.
Is there any deal they can offer you? Either like
yeah, sure. I'd love to make a deal with them. It's easier. But one way or the other, we're going to have Greenland.
It's freaking insane what's going on right now. That the U.S. has just ripped off the mask of, good guys. We have always been raging imperialists, but, we try to do it under the cover of democracy or, whatever. Liberty, freedom. And, a lot of people can see through that, but we're just, now it's like, how much territory can we take over while the getting's good? It's pretty incredible and frightening. One of your friends who is an Army reservist just got called up. Oh, shit. Damn. Yeah, that's the thing. Don't be joining the military right now. In fact, leave the premises if you think you might have to go. I would say. Trump threatening Iran if they harm his agent provocateurs. Yep. It's full blown, whatever you want to call it, Darbo, narcissistic playbook, going on. Hold on one second. Let's see. But Mossad has all but come out and said, we're responsible for what's going on in Iran. Here's John Mearsheimer talking about Iran.
Before I do that, I just want to say one thing about why a general conflagration is such an opportunity for ethnic cleansing. You want to remember the Israelis have done two massive ethnic cleansing. One was in 1948 and the other was in 1967. And both of those cleansings took place in the context of major wars. The Israeli War of Independence in 1948 and the Six-Day War in 1967. And that's when the Israelis cleansed. And the idea is if you get a general conflagration, the United States and everybody else will be focusing on Iran versus the United States, and it'll be a situation where the Israelis can cleanse. So I think that's a very important reason for wanting to do this.
Scary times. Speaking of Israel, they also have eyes for Argentina. Hold on one second. And this is a wild story. This just came out pretty much today, or maybe it was yesterday. Israeli tourists have been caught setting fires in Argentina, and this has been ongoing for apparently almost several decades, because they are trying to acquire land. So let's listen to this.
Argentina is in flames right now. This gets so much weirder and deeper than you could even imagine, so just buckle up. This is Argentina's based president, Javier Milei, total Zionist puppet, puts on the tiny hat and kisses the wall. Exactly 1 month ago, on December 9th, President Milei announced that foreigners can buy Argentinian land and develop it after fires. Now, as of January 9th, Patagonia is on fire. They're not even denying the fact that these fires were intentional, and you'll never guess who was caught setting them.
Una hora te vas ahí. Una hora te vas de ahí. Estos son los hijos de puta que nos prenden fuego, la concha de su madre. Llévateles y se van a la mierda, dale. Me acabo de dar toda la vuelta porque vi una nube de humo.
Yeah, that was an Israeli tourist, which is actually very common in Argentina and Chile because IDF members get sent there right when they get out of the military by NGOs that want them to map the land. They've been caught using military equipment while they're doing this, like radios and satellites that they then quickly hide once anyone approaches. They've also been setting fires to these places for years, which makes it even stranger that Milei would pass a law saying that foreigners can buy up land after it's been set on fire. They've been finding Israeli grenades near where these fires originated. They've also been finding busted pipes for the water sources used to put the flames out. And Netanyahu just happened to have a picture of Argentina with him at his last trip to the White House. Argentinian locals know exactly what's happening. They know that they are under Zionist occupation and that Israel is trying to steal their land and their country.
Este lugar para nosotros es el paraíso y nos quemaron el paraíso, loco. Nos dejaron, arruinaron todo. Y acá lo que pasa es que están queriendo venderle la Patagonia a todos los judíos, loco. Esto se sabe hace un montón. Acá todo el mundo lo sabe. Está lleno de israelitas, está todo el mundo comprando la tierra. Nadie hace nada.
Estamos sorprendidos de que nos prendan fuego a la Patagonia. Sabemos que es a propósito. Lo tenemos recontra en claro que hay poderes que están del lado. Tienen un interés inmobiliario, tienen interés minero.
The claims that there is a plot by Israel to take over Argentina and turn it into basically their second base is not even close to being a new thing. Plan Andania started being discussed in the 1970s and, of course, has since been labeled as an insane far-right conspiracy theory. The theory alleges that Plan Andania is a covert Zionist Israeli scheme to conquer and declare a second Jewish state, specifically in southern Patagonia, emerged in the 1970s in Argentine far-right circles. In 1971, ultra-nationalist economist and professor Walter Allende popularized it through pamphlets and articles in magazines like Caballero, claiming Zionists were secretly buying land to undermine Argentine sovereignty and establish Andania, a mashup of Andes and Patagonia. There's really way too much that goes into this to even fit into a short video, so I'm going to put this guy's Substack here. It has a tremendous amount of information.
Okay. Okay. Well, all Nazis go to Argentina, right? Is that where Hitler went? Hitler was a Jew, right? I'm just kidding. I think it was actually. There's claims that Hitler was backed by the Rothschilds or was a Rothschild. I don't. There's so many stories. Let's see. Melting ice in Greenland. We talked about this years ago, Mr. Wizard. Melting ice in Greenland could expose serious pollutants from buried Army base camp. The research station test site for deploying nuclear missiles was abandoned under the ice in the 60s. Yeah. I feel like we talked about that like years ago. But the ice, it keeps on melting. Y'all ever hear that one about Hitler being a Rothschild? Or at least backed by Rothschild? I mean, it makes sense, right? We backed Hitler. We backed Hitler before he was a bad guy. And, isn't that the playbook? Back the strong man, the crazy guy, the consolidator of power, and then go, hey, we heard you're doing bad things. We heard you're doing things that aren't democratic. There's actually I played some videos of Roy Casagrande for you guys before. He often talks about the fact that we, in our firebombing of Germany, and also just our general assault on Germany, we left all of the concentration camp infrastructure intact. He's like, why didn't we bomb the railroads? Why didn't we bomb why didn't we, bomb the infrastructure that made the concentration camps run? Why didn't we bomb why didn't we take out the concentration camps? Why didn't we why didn't we do any of that? And he's like, it was intentional because they wanted to make it seem it was part of the Zionist plan to make it, this horrific event so that they can have a reason to create Israel. It was the whole thing. You guys, the deal. Or do you? Do you know the deal? Do you know the deal about the creation of Israel? The transfer agreement? There was a lot more planning going on in World War II than meets the eye. But, if y'all want the whitewashed, third grade history version of it, I guess y'all can have that if you want it. They killed millions of Germans in those same camps after the war. Yeah. Oh yeah. On the Argentinian fires? Story in the Jerusalem. I mean, it's a big story. It just broke. Anyways, well, the U.S. wants everything, and also Israel wants everything too. So there's that. We're of like mind. Meanwhile, economically, the rise of silver and gold still continuing to pump. Silver got up to like $86 today. Gold 4,600, over 4,600, almost 4,700 today. Indicates that the faith in the economy and the dollar are unraveling quickly. There's so much going on. I can't even. I'm like, my brain is jumping from story to story right now. Which is also another reason why maybe the U.S. is pushing in on, you know, if there's a collapse, if there's a really big collapse, if there is a really major collapse, the U.S. wants to have all of its assets under wraps, especially oil, minerals, vitamins. Yeah. There's just so much going on. The Trump administration has cut off all federal aid to Minnesota in a retaliatory move against the Minnesota state government there, because they were telling ICE to get the hell out. Businesses set buy limit of 1 ounce per customer. Oh shoot. Yeah. What's Jam Bullion talking about right now? Hold on. Because we looked at it yesterday. I wonder what the premiums are today. What are the premiums on silver today? Let's see. Woo! $90 to buy an ounce. And that's not even an eagle. I wonder what the eagles are going for. $90 as low as, and then as high as 93, 97. So, you know, close to 100. Yeah. Whoa, it's crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Yeah, so they're cutting off aid to Minnesota. This includes like food stamps. While they're also trying to push in more troops, basically. The USDA is cutting off all federal funding to Minnesota. I think this includes SNAP, aid to children. But they're so they're doing it under the guise of, because of the, so man, that bullshit story about Somali, you know, fake Somali daycare. I mean, that it's almost too perfect, right? They did this story about the, you know, corruption going on and fake daycares or fake, you know, whatever. They blame Somalis for it. This gives them a reason to cut all federal funding, and they're saying it's because of corruption. But they're really trying to retaliate against Minnesota after the killing of Cindy Good.
Be able to be reimbursed. The Department of Health and Human Services froze $185 million for childcare in Minnesota and created new verification requirements for business reimbursed. Despite the claims of widespread fraud, though, that has allegedly been allowed to go on for years, Minnesota Democrats are criticizing the president for this temporary pause.
We're taking fraud seriously. We're working every day to improve our systems, hold those criminals accountable, and move our state forward. That's why it's
Department of Health and Human Services froze $185 million for childcare in Minnesota and created new verification.
Okay. Oh, Renee Good. Sorry. Why did I call her Cindy? Sorry. Renee Good. Trump's having a meltdown? I don't know. I mean, is he having a meltdown or a melt up? I'm not sure. Okay. Let's look at this by Roger Hallam. I don't think we're going to get through a lot of this, but we'll get through a little bit of it. Capitalism is choosing collapse, the elite death project. It's, every day the political class announces another initiative, pledge, roadmap, or ambitious target, and every day the material reality moves closer to total collapse. At some point, we must confront a simple truth. The elites are not failing accidentally. They are participating in a death project. They are driving a system that destroys itself, destroys life, and destroys the conditions for civilization, even when warned by their own institutions and scientists. This is not just incompetence. It is not even simple greed. What we are witnessing is something deeper and more pathological. A mixture of elite degeneration, the death wish, and a civilization unable to confront its own end. This piece gathers my recent reflections on why elites refuse to act, why capitalism is running towards its own destruction, and why the outcome is now structurally revolutionary. Do we want to place a place in this miracle? We live in a universe. Do we want a place in this infinite miracle? Do we want to stand for life? Do we want to live rather than die? Because at this point, to repeat a million times, we have become revolutionaries. Not in the neoliberal performative identity bollocks way, but actually literally revolutionary. Even Colombian President Petro Gustavo put it plainly. I know that decarbonization requires a transformation on a global scale, a revolution, but it must be undertaken if humanity is to live on for millennia or even millions of years in the universe. Reality is no longer ideological. It is existential. Yeah. Just to say, yeah, what he said. What he said. Although what I meant to say was the revolution has to happen within. We're going to have to realize that this is the end of it unless we do something incredibly radical, right? The death wish, why elites act against their own survival. The biggest misunderstanding in the world is that people act out of material self-interest. No, many people want to die and want the world to die with them because they hate themselves and they hate life so much. This is the death wish. It is supported by a century of psychoanalysis, social psychology, and history. Under existential threat, societies often choose self-destruction over transformation. This is why it has to be internal. Assemblies must be presented with the evidence of this. Freud's theory of death, the death drive, Thanatos, first set out in Beyond the Pleasure Principle, describes a recurrent human impulse towards self-destruction and repetition even when it leads to harm. Erich Fromm, The Anatomy of Human Destruction, I'm not going to read all these, but, he's giving examples. A repeated historical pattern of elites knowingly destroying the very systems they depend on, from late Rome to pre-revolutionary Europe and of today's fossil economy, fits this psychological picture far better than any rational act or model. What we are seeing is not rational self-interest, but the death wish operating at a civilizational scale. I'm going to stop reading right there. Because I think that's a really salient point. people are scared. They don't know what to do. They are misinformed. They are tribal, and as things get worse, people, some people will choose a higher path, or communication or evolution, but a lot of people will choose to go low, right? To get what they can get, to lash out at anybody who is other, to parrot the propaganda coming from on high, because it makes them feel better about themselves, makes them feel like they're on the right side. If they, I won't get hurt or harmed if I just stay in line with what the people in charge want me to say or think, which is absolutely nonsense. If history shows you anything, if you are bootlick, it doesn't even matter how hard you bootlick to the elites. It doesn't matter how hard you eat up the propaganda and swallow it down and go, tasty good. They don't care about you, and you're going to get screwed also. You're going to get screwed no matter what. So you might as well wake up to what's happening and get on the right side. Hey. No arguing in the chats, all right? Guys, just simmer down in the chats, y'all. Just, whatever. Or go ahead and argue. I don't know. Just make the chats a good time for people, okay? Please. Thank you. Humans have a dangerous habit of overestimating their intelligence. Yeah, that's true too. Absolutely. You must take the Trump scene. So Serenity, yeah. Yeah, we're I don't know how much more obvious it needs to become that we're in kind of a death spiral. Give me 1 second, guys. Tis dusk in Los Angeles, so I was losing all my light. It's obvious that we're in the meltdown of the U.S., of whatever it was that we stood for, whatever it is that we thought that we were. I'm sure there's still a lot of people out there clinging to the idea that I mean, I think during the 60s and the 70s and during the large cultural and political revolutions of that time, I think people were saying the U.S. stands for good things, and we're against whatever the evilness that is going on. But I think even if as with climate, if we're gonna save our society or our civilization or our country or whatever you want to call it, however you want to think about it, it's going to need some deep internal reflection, and definitely what Trump is doing is not even about Trump. Trump is just a figurehead. Trump is just he's just the spokesperson. He's just the PR guy for the people that really have the plans for all of this global domination 4.0 or whatever the fuck you want to call it, Fourth Reich. He's just the headmaster for now. And somebody else will step in if they need to. Oh yeah, Serenity. Absolutely. But what's happening is is them recognizing it's an end game, right? That it's a race to the bottom, or a race to the end, right? A race to the, whoever can grab as much stuff as possible, because the end is nigh, right? The people only act like this when things are, when they know damn well that it's about to go down. It's about to implode. Things are about to get very, very dodgy, right? Dodgy and old Piccadilly. Yeah, they're going for it. He'll regret going into Greenland like Hitler regretted Stalingrad. Okay. I mean, I've heard a bunch of people from Greenland say, "Bring it, mother." You're gonna rue the day you tried to take Greenland. Which, somebody's got to stand up to some. Um anyways, Gene on Substack says, now our technological advancement has far outpaced our emotional growth. It has. Man, Substack is like frozen. Or no, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just me that was frozen. In a lot of ways it has. I think, I see signs of emotional growth. I do. I just don't know if it's gonna I don't know if it's gonna be enough to take us out of what's happening. There are too many, I don't know how you're gonna have to raise up a lot more human, of humanity in a very substantial way. And what I see, they talk about a K-shaped economy. K-shape, right? Everybody knows what a K-shaped economy is, which is things are getting really good for one set of people and getting really bad for another set of people. And what I think is happening culturally is you're having a K-shaped you're getting a K-shaped, I don't know how to, evolutionary thing happening. I don't know if it's evolution or growth capacity, where you have people that are because of technology and because of the ability, K-shaped society, sure, obsolete, because of the ability to communicate and take in a bunch of ideas and and synthesize them into becoming. There's a lot of people that are doing this, right, that are evolving very quickly. And there's a bunch of people that are like, oh, right, and they're stuck and they don't know how to get up to this. They see people doing this and they don't know how to get up there, or they can't get up there. They just don't have the wherewithal to get up to the people that are get up with the people that are doing a fast growth trajectory. And those are the people that are reactionary and just like, F this and F that, and stupid, commie liberals, and and even stupid Trump MAGAs, even the people there, there are people on the left side that like, it just makes them feel really good to just, talk about how shitty Republicans and MAGA are. I'm like, well, you didn't. It's very limited understanding of the situation. anyways, I feel like we're in a K-shaped society. Yes, obsolete optics, where there are people that are like transforming and evolving and growing very quickly, and there are other people that are just like stuck in whatever. Maybe they're just, I don't know. They just can't, and so they're gonna just continue along, bouncing along their existence, and maybe not really ever understanding, the full scope of like what is going on and what they could actually do to change the situation. Well, that was my nickname when I was when I was younger. One of the many nicknames, Special K. But what we need is not a K-shaped society. What we need is we need a circular society. We need to look at ourselves. We need to be able to look at each other and look at what is going on and have everyone reflected back to us, right, as ourselves. Does that make sense? Right? We need to see ourselves as a whole, which is difficult, right? Because othering is very, very powerful in making yourself feel better. I fall victim to this all the time. I other people all the time. It's something your brain just does. Your brain just goes, nah, fuck him. Like it's really hard to turn that shit off. It's hard to turn othering off. It's hard to turn your I'm different, I'm better, I'm special, I'm smarter. It's hard to turn that, whatever that is, off and start looking at people as like, oh, this person is a lot like me, or I'm a lot like them, in this way. I have the capacity for that. Do that, they probably have the capacity for something that I'm going through. I don't know. No, not like that, Salt Lakers. Nay, sir. Man, before I go, this is a very disturbing video of an ICE agent taking a handcuffed woman into a porta potty, and not really understand. It's also kind of comedic because he falls on his ass before he gets in there. You other yourself. Substack froze for you, Kate? If we don't get rid of authoritarianism posing as democracy soon, humanity is doomed, says Gene Whitworth. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But that takes people standing up for something. And we're still stuck as a whole. We're still stuck in, but I have my really nice, comfortable American life, or my Western civilizational life. And everybody wants that life. Everybody wants this life. And we're holding on to it for dear life. And we don't want to let go of that. But what generally, pretty much standing up against whatever's going on means giving that up. It pretty much comes to that. Ooh, and that's hard, right? You're holding on, you're working a job. Maybe you're just getting a check from the government. Maybe you're just barely scraping by. Maybe you just got a little bit of money in the bank. It's getting harder and harder to buy groceries at the store and keep your house heated. And you're just, maybe you got health issues. Maybe you got, you're just barely making it. But standing up means letting go of all any kind of safety you might feel, any kind of safety net you might have left, letting it all go. You're going to let all that go. You got to give all of it up. And I feel like that's why everybody's on the internet standing around going, well, when's somebody going to do something? You know, because everybody's like, ah. But eventually it's going to get to the point where they take all that from you anyways. And then you're going to be like, okay, well, you know, fuck it. It's going to get there. It's there for a lot of people. Okay, let's look at this crazy porta potty shit. I know, sorry to put those words together, but hey. This is an ICE agent, and people are like, what is going on here? Why is he going into the porta potty with her?
Oh, y agarraron a alguien. Por...
He falls on his ass, which is gotta laugh because slapstick.
Agarraron a alguien, llevan a alguien.
Cierto.
Anyways, that's wild. All right. Oh, guys, if you like the show, if you want to support the show, you want to see the show continue to keep on it going. Sorry. If you want to help the show continue to go, you can contribute. There are a bunch of links in the description box. You know, all the usuals are there: PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, buy me a coffee. Excuse me. Sorry. Zelle, my bad. Didn't mean for that to happen. Yeah. All those places are there if you want to support the show. Ko-Fi. You can support at Patreon. You can also support at Substack. Thank you guys for tuning in. And I'm sorry I was so late today. Speaking of which, I think it seems like you guys like this time. Do you like this time? It's a deporta potty. Oh, the dude. Come on, man. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Because I was thinking about doing noon on Thursday. Does that ruin everybody's day? Or can everybody make it back here at noon on Thursday? Just thinking about 4 on Thursday looks a little hard right now. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I hate to keep switching the time around on you guys. I apologize. But it seems like people like this time more. But for right now, we're going to say noon on Thursday. My schedule is all over the place, so it's hard for me to actually give you a definite time. I'm going to say noon on Thursday, but it could be 4. But I think it's going to be noon on Thursday. So I will see you guys back here at noon on Thursday. And we'll do it all over again. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. Yeah, that's a wrap, y'all. Enjoy your night. Whatever it may bring. And always remember to beware the bear. Bye.